In our last episode, we have introduced you to Astor Productions and what this podcast is all about. Today, we're diving into my personal journey into cinematography, how I founded the company, and what actually inspired me to work in this industry. I've always been inspired by the magic of film, but I never actually thought I would be actually the one making it happen. When I was younger, my passion wasn't really filmmaking. I was more into computer science, building like computers and so on. But when I came to Britain in 2006, I picked to study BTech in media production. And that's when my first love for film actually began. During my time at the college, I was really inspired by the magic of filmmaking and really like understanding the process of making making films, coming up with ideas, stories, and making it all happen. That's why I thought like this is something I really want to do in life. So I decided to go to university and study TV and film production at the University of Lincoln. That completely changed my life. Whilst I was at university, I started Astor Productions when I was in the second year of my studies, mainly because there was a lack of employment in this industry in our local area. There wasn't many video production companies going around. I just wanted to create my own destiny. So I started the company in my second year at university. Managed to get my first commercial client, who actually was Humberside Police. We were tasked with creating an awareness video for the hate crime campaign, and that was a very successful project. This project actually really opened my eyes on the power of storytelling and be able to change people's views on certain topics and educate them. Fast forward few years later, I finally graduated from the university, and it wasn't an easy way to break into the industry. I still couldn't have enough projects or gigs happening to actually make a living from this. So I've actually worked in a school for 2 years, actually teaching creative media production in one of the colleges. But then I've received this amazing opportunity to actually bid for a project with Dunelm. And actually we've been really successful. We won the project. And that's when I thought, you know what, that's it. Like, I'm going to give this everything. So straight away, I went to the CS Centre in Hull, started to look for some office space, found the office space. And I thought, you know what, I want to give this everything. So I handed in my notice in a school, and the rest is history. For a long time, I've been dreaming of creating a company that can actually create like proper high-end cinematic content. The type of company that you wouldn't find previously in our local area. Previously, corporate videos were quite boring, and we had this approach of actually taking techniques I've learned at university and techniques that actually we use to make fiction productions used on the corporate videos to actually make them more cinematic, make them more high-end, actually more engaging to the audience. This wasn't easy because it requires quite a big investment from my end. So we started quite small with only like two cameras, some basic lighting kits, and so audio recording equipment. We mainly use cameras from Blackmagic Design at the time. I've actually was their brand ambassador for a few years, where they would like actually use some of my footage and then like marketing material. And that was a great collaboration because I was able to like, you know, fully like test their cameras, use the cameras on my productions, and really showcase that actually I know how to get the most out of them, out of the systems, which towards the end like massively benefited the client. That's why at Astor we have different packages to meet different client needs. Because for us, it's all about making sure that every client we work with will receive a different style of video, different approach, put our stamp on it. Whereas what we don't want to do is to utilize the same cameras, same lenses, same lights on every single project, because that way everything looks the same. When you create commercials, or when you pitch to work on the commercial gigs, or let's say a feature film, see, every lens got different characteristics, tailored to be used on a different job, or different project, different feel. For example, like if you want to have a more like vintage, broomy look in your production, make it look like maybe it's like a flashback scene, then you would use a lens from the 70s or 80s, which will certainly give you this sort of character. If you are making, let's say, a very cinematic piece of work, and let's say it will be screened or distributed in the cinemas, then perhaps you might want to use lenses that are anamorphic, which will give you the right aspect ratio and the right compositions that will actually suit that distribution channel. However, if you're working on a project that's like for, let's say, a health industry, then you would pick like a mono lens that's clinically sharp. And that's why at Astor we have so many different options for our clients, so we can offer them the right solution for their project. Filmmaking for me, it's all about experimenting, expressing yourself, trying different things. That's why I've never stopped experimenting, really. I do spend quite a lot of time working on client projects, but wherever I can, I always try to help to bring my own personal projects where actually I can experiment with different styles, different lighting, different lenses, and then take this knowledge to actually offer it to our clients. I wanted to create a company that works with businesses and organizations to create high quality content. At that time when Astor was born, there weren't many video production companies in Hull, and I was fresh from the university, and I was really passionate about cinematography. So I really wanted to, take my passion on set, on any projects I actually work on, and try to use my skill sets, my visions, to actually make sure that every project we work on has got the best possible look it can have. What really gets me out of the bed every day is the creativity within this company, our members of staff who are full of skills and passion, and the fact that actually every day we get to work on a really cool projects. One day we might work on a music video for a well-known musicians like Callum Scott, for example. Or next day we might be working on a commercial for a housing manufacturer. Or the third day we might be making a brand film for a brand like Polaroid. That's what really keeps me going, seeing the variety of type of jobs we get as a brand, and the customers actually putting trust in us, especially like some of the big companies as well. I think what makes us unique as a brand as well is the fact that actually every equipment we use is we actually have in-house. I wouldn't say there's anyone we can compete with locally with the amount of actual film production equipment that actually we bring on set. As far as I'm aware, we are the only people locally with a fleet of cameras from Red and other equipment that's actually used on actual proper productions. And that was again another reason for starting the company, to offer the clients the opportunity to actually use this high-end equipment on their projects. And because we own this equipment, it makes us cheaper to actually produce the content for them. Whereas if they would go with another brand who doesn't have this sort of equipment, they go to hire the equipment. Obviously, then it ups the cost for the client and overall ups the cost of their production. Whereas with us, it comes in a package, really. What really puts a smile on my face is actually seeing this company grow and develop. Like I remember, like when I started in 2014, I was just by myself. A few years later, we got 4 members of staff, plus a lot of equipment and big plans for 2025, with some of the amazing campaigns already booked in our calendar. For the last 10 years of my filmmaking career, I've seen the industry has changed quite a lot. I remember like when I started, everything we delivered used to be in a landscape format, 60:9, probably in a full HD quality, because 4K wasn't even available. There weren't any cameras that actually recorded in 4K. Fast forward to now, you can see like how the industry has grown. Now we got like deliverables in portrait, landscape, square, like so many different types, which is really, really cool, I would say, because it kind of like shows you that, one edit wouldn't work for all platforms. So you got to customize your edit to actually work for like Instagram or TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, etc. One of the biggest shifts I've seen in the industry is how accessible video production media has become, but the quality of storytelling is a massive differentiator. Anyone can pick a camera and press record and record some content. But you got to ask yourself a question. Will this actually content work for my brand? Will it tell the right message? Will it look the right way? All the things actually reflect on your brand's image. It's a shop front. So really, this is like a shop front of your business. Your online presence is a shop front. It's the first thing people see online. So when you produce video content, you need to make sure that actually it aligns with your brand's image and vision. There's a massive threat of like people filming on mobile phones nowadays, creating UGC content, so user-generated content. It can work, it does work, but I think nothing will ever replace the power of like proper storytelling using traditional filmmaking techniques. With video production, it's not all about aesthetics. It's about connecting with your audience and delivering the right message. One thing I've learned in my time in this industry is it's all about your being persistent and learning and developing. Every project I get to work on, I always see it as a challenge. I try it to be as a challenge because I don't want to get to the point where we just use the same like techniques, same equipment on every single project. I want every client to have a very unique style and very unique approach. That's why in the company, we have so many different production packages and different camera systems where we would specify the right equipment for the job, in opposed to using the same lenses, the same cameras, the same lights on every single project. And then basically every client got really a video that looks the same. Tell me your story on how you have joined the industry, or maybe you are thinking about joining the industry. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel to never miss an episode. Follow us on social media to send questions or topics you'd like us to cover in the next episodes. Let us know.